sense of chasing food, housing, necessities, electricity, all that, if you don't ever have to worry about any of that stuff ever again, why is life dependent upon the pursuit of money? Is it just because we've grown accustomed to it and it's our way, and so we think that our way is the absolute only way? That doesn't make any sense. To me, it's like we can adapt to not living in fucking caves anymore. All right, we can adapt to cell phones. We can adapt to the idea that you don't have to spend your whole fucking life hoping to get a job you hate and working your ass off all the time because that's the only way to make it in this world. Well, that's a world that people made. It's a stupid design. It doesn't make any sense at all. And if somebody actually does come along and say, look, is this not socialism? It's not saying you can't earn money, but what if you had enough money that you didn't have to think about money? Like, if you think about that $37 trillion of this fucking country's in debt for, and how much wealth could potentially be generated by, we're talking about so much money floating around. If you just gave everybody in the country a real high income, livable life, so there's no more poverty anymore, how much crime would that solve? Like instantaneously. How much crime would be solved or future crime solved if everybody lived at a high income level? It sounds completely insane, but imagine if everybody in the country makes at least $500,000 a year. You know how different the world is? Do you know how less violence there is, less suicides, less drug addictions?
I'm not as convinced of this as you
Really?
are. No, I think things might get
If no
worse.
one was ever poor?
Well, I don't know what no one is ever poor means, because we obviously, even, the poorest person who isn't homeless currently, they have, indoor plumbing. They have a supercomputer in their pocket,
Right.
access to, the world's information. They are, by many measures, just simply in absolute terms, vastly richer than anybody from 300 years ago.
That's true, but it still sucks because
Well-
it's not 300 years ago. It's 2025, and you have zero money, and you're eating ramen to just try to stay alive. It still sucks.
It sucks, but the problem
Joe Rogan is receiving immense backlash for saying the dumbest thing ever. I get what he was trying to say, but the way he put it was extremely dumb. Yeah, let's just make everybody rich. Yeah, because then there will be no janitors and no one to work at McDonald's, but everybody will be rich. Now, he was talking about UBI, and I, to some degree, do support a UBI, but not the way he put it. And the only problem with a UBI, the critics would say, is that, you do a UBI, people are just going to buy, drugs and stuff like that, and stuff they shouldn't buy. And as a UBI supporter, it sucks not being able to use the greatest example of UBI, which is Saudi Arabia, other than, Bill Burr going there. But they have UBI in Saudi Arabia. And none of the people spend money on drugs or anything really bad, but that's because they will murder you. They will murder you viciously. They will literally crucify you. So, not really a good example. So I can't, even though they have UBI there, and it does seem for all intensive purposes to work, but can't use that example. But I mean, what was Joe even saying there? Make everybody rich? Like I said, how high did he get before this podcast? What is he talking about? Even the Weinstein guy was like, yeah, no, dude, it doesn't work that way. And it just doesn't. But let me know your thoughts in the comments.